Hi there. Thanks so much for tuning into my channel. I hope you'll join me today while we paint this fall sunflower and pumpkin watercolor. Today I'm using my size 6 Intuition round brush by Artegria, my SeamiArt and Sonnet watercolors. I have my watercolor palette ready. I have my dish of water and a cloth for dabbing any mistakes or puddles. Let's get started. So I want to start with some fall watercolors today, and I'm just pre-mixing some Indian red on my palette, just getting that ready. And I think what I want to do is a pumpkin and maybe some sunflowers, and just fall and just enjoy this. And so thinking about maybe where my placement should be and all that, I kind of want the pumpkin sort of in this lower corner here, some sunflowers and grasses, and just kind of this triangular shape here. And so I'm going to start with the center of this pumpkin, and I want to try to keep it, just imperfect. And I say, I'm trying to keep it imperfect. What I'm trying to do is be okay with imperfection. And that's what I mean by that. Just, I'm not worried about being absolutely perfectly precise. It doesn't have to be this this thing that is so realistic, and even if it's somewhat abstract, it doesn't have to be I don't know really what I'm trying to say, other than just not fussy. Maybe that. So there's just kind of the rough idea of that. Maybe some highlights there, and some places where the light is hitting more, and certainly could go back and add a bit more depth. But I'm going to start with this, and then I want to get my gold ochre ready. Actually, I might prefer to get my yellow deep. I'd like to start with that. Love this gold ochre, but I do want to start with yellow deep. Let's get some of that ready on my palette. And I have something here beside it, probably gold ochre. It could be a little raw sienna, but I think it's gold ochre. I'm just going to kind of mix that in there, because I would like something with, a little more of those orange fall tones. Keep this nice and loose. I'm just going to start with some big petals out here. I like to keep these petals that are near the front a little shorter, squattier looking. Those are actually kind of, compressed, being closer to the viewer. Let's see. How about out here? Okay, I'd like for this to be just some little ones. So far, I love it. I want to go ahead and take maybe some olive green. My olive green is getting kind of low in the center of this pan, and so really have to kind of almost dig in there for some of it. It's so funny too, because it really is, it's the lowest color in all of my palette. But when you think of, all the florals that I do, what's the one thing they all have in common, regardless of their color? I often use this olive green. Okay, have that nice and wet. Kind of drag some of that off of my brush. And then let's go ahead and start getting some stems in here. And this way you can kind of go ahead with some of these sunflower leaves. I find it helps to kind of place the stems first, and then just kind of dragging these leaves almost with just my brush. I'm just kind of dragging, kind of go either direction. You can start at the base of the leaf or at the tip. All right, and how about the stem for this pumpkin? Works for me so far. I'm gonna put a few little leaves here, just kind of little vines and leaves. Just kind of getting some ideas in there. And then I want to go ahead and get some, let's see, I think I want this dark green. It has a little bit of blue in it. And I just want that ready because I don't want to really dominate with it, but as I get some more greens in here and browns, I want to be able to just drop that in. And so I'm going to take this olive green, just take a bit of it over to another well in my palette. And then right beside it, just want to add some brown. I've got this, how about burnt sienna? And not too much. I had a little sap green, I think, here left over, and I'm just mixing it in this well of my palette. Okay, a little bit of that still my brush, but I'm going to go ahead and mix it with my olive. I did a little rinse, but there was some of that burnt sienna there. And I'm just going to start with some grasses. And not worrying about how these, how they are shaped, or, you know, balancing this out really, just kind of going with the flow here. I like for some of those to kind of bend and flop over, you know. And now let's take a little of this olive green, but blend it a bit with that burnt sienna, just for a little bit of a variation. And I think maybe even a little more of the burnt sienna in that. And not worrying about overlapping. Let some of these overlap, honestly. Okay, I'm going to grab some dark brown and still going in with this olive green. And let's just add some depth in here. Just kind of making sure to get some shadows in here. Just making kind of some longer leaf shapes. And now I'm just going to go in with a little bit of a rinsed residue on my brush and just swipe in some, just kind of filling a lot of this white in here so that there's some depth and shadow. This is often a spot where it will feel kind of weird or busy, and I just tell myself, keep going. This I'm actually not really disliking, but it does happen a lot, and it's okay. You're going to make more layers. There's going to be more to it, so it's okay if you currently are struggling or feeling some negativity on it. Just keep going. And a few of these really light things, you know, still out here. I'm going to take some water and just kind of drag along this bottom area. I'm going to take that chocolate brown and mix it a bit with my olive residue kind of area here. And I'm just going to go in that. Just kind of want a little bit of kind of what is this foreground, or the base of this actually maybe. I like it. I think we could use a little bit more brown tones inside there, just here and there, and I don't want to overdo it. This dark brown is really a dark brown, and so I maybe want to soften that up with some of this burnt umber. Okay, and so maybe just going in here with some sticks, who knows, kind of some dried grass, I'm not sure, doesn't really matter. And just kind of, you know, drag the tip of your brush, just kind of let it kind of drag you. A little bit, you know, just here and there, just unexpectedly. Not overthinking it. I'm going to soften this right here. And I kind of think I'd like to take some of that into my my leaves for these sunflowers. So I'm going to use it for the veins, but you know, as I feel kind of inspired to, I'm going to go ahead and drag a bit of that pigment into it. Just to kind of deepen that and give a bit more visual interest. Just kind of softening out some of these leaves, just because I thought they were a little too predictable maybe. Just kind of adding a few more strokes of this, you know, earth. Just kind of adds a little more depth in there. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and maybe put some little leaves on these sticks. These are kind of, you know, small compared with all these larger leaves. I just kind of felt like that would be a good addition. And they're just kind of these brown leaves, really little. Don't need to be perfect. Just added a little more, you know, depth and whatnot there. A few little veins. You could use a smaller brush for this, but I like to live dangerously and generally stay with my one size of brush. Okay, now I'm going to go back in with some of this gold ochre. I'm just going to kind of mix it in with my yellow deep. I'm going to make some more little petals. And they can overlap. They're going to be on top of and in between some of these existing petals on these sunflowers. These are those messy, wild sunflowers. These are not your hothouse sunflowers. They're often kind of smaller than your standard, you know, giant sunflowers that maybe you see painted or you see in the flower shops. And I love to paint them. I just feel like they are very freeing, and I always feel good about them. Almost always. I love to see them. We do have them around here. And then I also just really love to paint them. And I so often am not going for these perfect petal shapes. Ooh, I loved that. That was just kind of a straight off the brush, straight out of the pan. And I think I'd like to add some more of that here and there. So let's see. Yeah. It's just one more little touch of this. I also like too the effect that it's giving with a little bit of texture on the brush itself. It's leaving a little streak, you know, there inside the paint, and kind of love that. It was unexpected, and you know, just playing with that to see what all you can get from these different little strokes. And some of that is, you know, the brush is drier, the brush is wetter. You know, just try it. I'm loving that. I'm going to add some more burnt sienna. Down here where I have browns, and add a little green in there. Kind of a dark olive. I'm just going to go back here and add some more, pretty much some more, what are these called? Sunflower leaves. just, you know, just wherever. Can kind of soften that a little and maybe get some of that behind there. Let's see. That was not great because I really went too much into that leaf. So just trying to soften that right there. Maybe I'll just kind of scrub it out a little with some water. You know, I do not always know what I'm doing, and so that's okay. It's just meant to be fun. Just going for some more depth and interest. Nice. Okay, I do want to kind of balance out. This one leaf I have here is pretty dark, and I think I've let it dry a little too much to be able to dab it, so let's just darken a few more of these that are around these sunflowers, just so it's balanced, you know. That's working for me. Maybe this one right here too. And then I'm just going in with some more of this kind of lighter wash of that same color to add a little more fill, a little more depth. And how about darkening some of those sunflower stems? You don't have to do the whole thing. You can actually just drag your brush on some of it, and it will kind of lend itself to the idea of a highlight and shadow. I don't love that I went right into that pumpkin right there, but I'm not going to sweat that because I feel like I can just kind of touch that with a bit of water and smooth it a little. I think it's going to be fine. Maybe darken this leaf down here to the left of this pumpkin. And I'm just adding a few more veins. Okay, I've rinsed my brush, And I'm just going to give this a tiny little, there you go, tiny little brush right there. And I think I will go for one more little layer on this pumpkin. Let's see. Go right in on all these kind of inner lines. And honestly, I do not know if that was right as far as you know, light and shadow. I don't really know. I'm not really looking at it that critically. And I thought, just to kind of ground this and tie some of the bottom of this together, I'm just adding a little more down here at the bottom into these greens. And then how about a little brown in this stem? And just some little stripes. Okay, let's dig into this dark brown, get some of it ready. Whew, I just swiped at my black on my palette, but that's going to be fine. And just start getting some of these sunflower centers in here. I like to just dot these in. I like to turn my brush sometimes as I go. I dot in because I really like the idea of having some of this white remain visible. Kind of thinking about how I want to angle the flower, and then I just kind of let my oval follow that angle. And this one's really tilted, so give this a good nice tilt. And you know, this dot over here is a little bit outside of that oval. That's fine. I actually kind of like that here and there. I really like that better than having an oval that's just too symmetric, too perfect. And just dotting that in imperfectly. The more narrow your oval, the more closed or tilted away from you that flower is going to be. So just kind of keeping that in mind. And this is going this other direction. Maybe kind of tidy this up around here. There we go. You know, it's just the idea of these flowers. love that. I may just, in fact, call that pretty much done. You know, there might be other things to do and add to it. And I did want to add this this dark green color that I have that has that bit of blue. It's a cool color, but I just really love this so much right now, and I don't want to mess with it. I'm really happy with it. And you know, I have a tendency to just sometimes overwork things, and I don't think it needs it. You could add, you know, with this burnt sienna, could go in and add more vegetation here and there, but I'm really happy with that. I think it stayed nice and loose, and it was a good fall painting to kind of jump back in for me. Thank you so much for tuning in today. Thank you for your patience while I've recently been on a break. It blesses me so much that I'm back and that you're back. And I'd love to know if you tried this today or if you're going to save it and try it. I'd love to hear about it. You can always contact me through my Instagram. That's petite_mesquite_studio, or leave a comment here. I love that. Absolutely. I'd love to hear what you're doing and how you're celebrating and getting into the fall. And as always, happy painting.